Welcome back to All G's. Sometimes All G's React. I'm here with the greatest co-host ever,
Sir Cash.
and today we're gonna talk about pandering. This is a subject matter I wanted to talk about last week, but we didn't get to it. So we're gonna talk about some pandering when it comes down to media, okay, and things like that. So what we're going to be referencing is going to be, as we've seen, The Little Mermaid has gotten some more trailers. We saw Peter Pan, and we saw a change to Tinkerbell, and the new animated Ninja Turtles, and the change to April O'Neil. Okay? So, I'm going to let you go, because I know you loathe this.
Well, first it's going to be different levels and stuff of that nature. Get there a little bit more. Okay. So, let's kind of break it down, because there's pandering, and then there's what some people use as tokenization. So I'll just go with the general definition: is one character has been either sex swapped, race swapped, gender swapped, to quote unquote make it the same character but a different version. You know what I'm saying? Marvel uses it with this is a different universe, extended universe. What does DC have? Other worlds, something like that.
They have different
versions,
different 52 different worlds, something like that.
Right. So it's like, if I got Superman white in this one, Superman's black in this one, Superman's gay in this one, Superman's handicapped in this one, whatever. Right. Spider-Verse is a perfect example of that. So for me personally, I'll leave the comics aside. I'm gonna talk with kind of like established IPs. So the more notable is Wendy from the Scooby-Doo, and then the ones that we mentioned before, Peter Pan.
You mean Velma?
Velma. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, Velma from Scooby-Doo, and then Tinkerbell, April O'Neil, and another one that we mentioned.
That was it.
Okay, so for me personally, I'm not a fan of it, because it goes to show that if you want to make a character that's white into black, then that means that we don't even want to waste the time of creating a new storyline. That's too much work. The storyline, why we got to explain, how does this person fit in? How does this person know the original person? Like, how does this new black character know, let's just say April O'Neil? How does that work? Yada, yada, yada. Man, I don't want to do that. All we got to do is use our shader, and we'll just go ahead and slide that shader down a little bit. Hey, it's the same person, just a different dark skin.
Does it matter if it's an origin story? Does that change it any?
Let's use Ninja Turtles, since that's kind of like the hot one right now.
Right.
Are we changing the entire origin story of all the Turtles, or just that character?
Right.
Which one?
That right there will have to be seen, right?
Okay.
So,
let's just say that let's just say they're not changing the origin story. Okay. Let's just say it's just, hey, Black Velma, or Black April O'Neil. Man, it's a very white name, first of all. April O'Neil. Come on. If her name is April O'Neil, it's like, bro, we don't even care.
Are we going April O'Neil? Is her last name O'Neil?
I thought it was always April O'Neil.
Okay. I was going to say, because April is a black girl's name, but yeah, O'Neil.
No. The way it flows off is April O'Neil. And then, of course, there was always kind of like, well, she was meant to be black, but then this and this and that and that. No. I'm like, no. And that goes into the pandering of the crutch that you was bringing up, and I'll let you speak on that. For me, I don't necessarily like it, because it's like, it feels lazy. As a father of two boys and two girls, you know what I'm saying? My upbringing personally, dude, I did not care about the skin tone of somebody that would make me relate to them. Street Fighter, Ryu and Ken, dude, does that mean that, oh, well, they wasn't black, so I didn't relate? Batman, the animated series, or the X-Men cartoons, and like, man, yeah, when there would be certain characters, like when Bishop will come on, like, oh, Bishop Rick Shop, he's a black dude, yada, 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 but it didn't mean that I liked the characters any less. Right. You can like a character regardless of their skin tone, because it's like a character's development is what's supposed to connect with your audience.
True.
If you don't have an engaging character, doesn't matter what race it is, you can have whack black characters. You can have whack any race characters. Doesn't a skin tone doesn't make a character better or not. It's dependent on how they're written.
Keep going, bro.
So based off of that, you know, I don't need, even though it's a female and they're like, well, you know, guys are not supposed to like female characters. It's like, man, that doesn't make sense. How many guys like Laura Croft growing up? You know, what if they was to change Laura Croft to a black woman? You know, it's like you're pandering. If Laura Croft was not supposed to be black to begin with, but then y'all made her black later on, then it was kind of like, well, you never stepped to what you said you was going to do originally, and I know that's going to really hit into what you're saying.
Yeah.
You know, where was the character supposed to be originally established, and did you change it for an audience based off of if that character would sell or not?
Right.
So that
right there is where we need to talk about pandering in general. Like your tokenism, I completely understand. If you're just changing a character to make a token character for a reason, no.
It's a different universe.
I hate that. Like I hate that aspect of it, of doing that for just that reason. When we're talking about pandering, though, pandering is everywhere. It's everywhere. So this is why I go after the people who talk about pandering on their platforms, because I notice it only matters when a character goes from black to white. It only matters with those two. I don't hardly ever see anyone going after specific characters that they get changed. I'll give you an example. I know you don't watch this show, but there's a show called Full Metal Alchemist. Okay. The two boys that show mainly follows are white boys. It is clearly understood. There's different regions. You got dark-skinned people. You got Asian-looking people. These two dudes is white dudes.
Okay.
Blonde hair, fair skin. When they did the Netflix adaptation, he was Asian.
Clearly Asian.
Clearly.
I didn't hear not one word out of that.
Nothing. Not a thing. Attack on Titans is supposed to be based in what I think is considered Germany, Russia, I believe. Okay. All these characters specifically look white. They have a couple of specialized characters to prove that like there was different races or whatever.
To differentiate.
Yeah.
Okay.
When they did the adaptation for 2 movies, everybody was Asian. Everybody was Japanese. I'm sorry, everybody was Japanese. Everybody was Japanese.
But this is supposed to take place in Germany, Russia area?
Yeah. Not from no one. The problem I have with the pandering thing, it seems to be targeted specifically to a black and white change. That's my number one thing. No, actually, it's number 2, because number 1 is pandering is everywhere. Number 2 is it seems to be targeted towards black and white change. Okay. There are certain things that were created that are I don't like to say the word victim product. They're a product of their time. This is specifically when it comes to animation. It was very difficult to put black people in animation.
And to sell it to the public.
Not even just that, to do it. I'm talking about the shading, to make them, to shade characters to fit with the type of backgrounds, which was black. You get what I'm saying? It was very difficult to do back then. Okay?
Right.
That's fact. That's facts. Exactly.
Batman and Gotham would have just been like 2 white eyes and everything else is black. What is that? It's Black Man.
This has been talked about many times throughout the years, and it's never ever brought up when we talk about how certain characters were created. Some of them had to get lighter tones, nigga, because that was just how it was. That's easier to draw.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier to differentiate between your black line inking and your background and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
For some things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. April O'Neil has already been a pandering character. You go to her 80s design, she's a product of the 80s, basically.
Right. Perm and everything.
Perm, super perm.
Yeah, jacket.
It was all 80s.
Mm-hmm.
All full metalled out.
Mm-hmm.
When she switched over to the 90s, that character was switched for pandering for pubic white boys. Tight yellow outfit, cleavage popping out, and she didn't look like she belonged there.
Yeah, if you really think of the story of April, it's like, what?
Yeah.
I'm a reporter, skimpy outfit. I don't even know the origins of Ninja Turtles, and I know there's some person out there who knows the exact origins of how she even came across it, but it really wouldn't make sense if you was to break down how she got there in the first place.
She was a token. She was actually a woman token character.
Need to put a female in something?
Yes.
Because really, realistically, it probably would have been a boy who would have found him in the first place.
Yes.
It would have been
in
like
the sewer.
In the sewer. Yeah, it would have been a boy who was like rummaging around. I was like, what the heck?
But
going on?
we don't talk about that. Well, we talk about it more now, but back then it wasn't looked at like that. Like there was female characters. They're token female characters. They're just there because they're female.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? Like, oh, we can't make this all about dudes. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's why she's here.
Right.
But you can clearly see the switch that it was meant because this is cartoon violence. So we know our audience is going to be between like 10 to like 15, 16. And we need something to get them nostrils flaring out when they look at the screen.
Mm-hmm.
You can clearly tell that. So
adolescent pubic boys kind of going through, little raunchy. It's not like cartoons ain't known to do stuff like that in the first place.
They're made by grown people.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah. Everybody remember Nala's eyes in The Lion King? There was a Rise in the South. That's a cartoon.
Did you ever watch Gargoyles?
Yes.
If Xanatos wouldn't have existed and they would have left Lisa in there, everybody would have been like, why is Lisa here?
Right.
She wouldn't have fit. She's the token female character.
Mm-hmm.
This is why y'all be looking silly. Like, this is why y'all be looking silly. You advocate against something that is already something.
Yeah, it's already a character that wouldn't even belong there in the first place. Realistically, it should have been a male that found her, but they needed to pander to an audience to get the male into it. Because I'm pretty sure you wouldn't have. I'm pretty sure April O'Neil was not the reason that little girls is watching the Ninja Turtles. No, it was the boys. It was like, hey, let me look at that.
Yeah,
I'm starting to see a little figure. Hey, my mind is already going through like puberty and hormones and stuff.
Yes.
Like, hey, I like that little outfit. Yellow is an attractive color in the first place. You know what I'm saying? Your eyes are already drawn.
Keep spitting it because
your eyes were already drawn to it. It wasn't like she was like zipped up in like turtlenecks. Like no, it was a little poppage and stuff like that. One thing that we talked about on the phone that I said that I believe Rogue from X-Men in the 90s X-Men cartoons. I believe Rogue's body was based off of a thick black woman. Because if you go back and you look at Rogue and how she was wearing and stuff like that, like I don't know what they changed in the food. But for the most part, white women wasn't rocking bodies like that back in the 90s.
I want to know who made her. I can't, like, she was already a panderer. Right? So now we have to just start saying, I completely agree. Tokenism? No.
Yeah.
No. Stop that nonsense.
But to say the character wasn't a pandering from the established lore of it. So the argument can be easily made that April was only put in there to pander to boys at that point in time.
Exactly.
That's the point. If you're switching her from black, then you can't be mad at the black, but then can't be mad at the original because you know what if you're really honest with yourself, the original was the pandering. So it went from pandering to tokenization.
That's true.
A pandered character went tokenized, and I'm mad at the tokenization because she's supposed to be that. Like, bro,
hold on, she's a pander token. Because she's the female token, pander to white boys. Now she's just another pander token character again. She didn't really change besides the skin.
and they made her what you would say less visually appealing, you know, but that has nothing to do. YouTubers have made a beef out of that. Oh,
what I'm really saying is tokenism and pandering itself. When a character is created in that model, anyways, I don't see why people flip out when the character stays true to that creation, which is tokenism and pandering. I don't understand the flip out part of it, right? I was just discussing this with someone else about Velma. I was like, one of the main reasons people take characters and make certain switches and things like that, and like, for me, is if the story is completely the same as the old, and then you just changed her for that, I got a complete problem with that. If you're changing the story and you're doing this thing and you're trying to bring Velma or the Little Mermaid, what if Little Mermaid's in the coast of, you know, South Africa or something, like, you know what I'm saying? Maybe she would be dark. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're doing these things and you change that character, I'm not tripping. Because the original still exists. That's number one. So if you really think the Little Mermaid should just be the Little Mermaid and never make no changes, watch that Little Mermaid. Because it's still there. Yeah. But when a character's created in that way, and it stays true to that character creation because time changes and things like that and so forth and so on, I don't see why y'all flip out over it.
Like, the story has to be on point. If you're gonna change something, that's what I'll end on. The story has to be on point if you're gonna change something, because if you have a bad story already with a swapped character, a swapped skin tone character, then it's gonna make it even worse. Aquaman's a great example. Everybody know what Aquaman looked like in the cartoons. I might care about this guy. But then Jason Momoa played Aquaman, and then you had a small minority. Look, that's not my Aquaman. Like, Aquaman's nobody's man unless you're, like, you know, weird. But if the story was good, then it was more accepted. So people didn't have a pushback on Jason Momoa, you know, for him playing Aquaman, because the story made up for it. So once again, what's happening with this April O'Neil thing is, hey, if she is, it's a good character, or if it's funny or whatever, but if it's not a good story, then it's just going to add on top of it. Some people will let their biases fly by them, like, you know what, all right, whatever, I'll let this swing.
My thing is, and this is my end note, no one complains about Jim Gordon on the Batman. There's no complaints for it. I don't hear none of these people talk about character swaps, color swapping, all that type of stuff. He's straight turned to a black person, and no one said nothing. You know why? Because that movie is bomb. And no one has anything to say.
Isn't Catwoman, wasn't she swapped?
There's an argument to be made that Catwoman was already exotic. Okay. Selena Kyle. Now, she may be swapped from Michelle Pfeiffer's role, right?
Is Halle Berry's Catwoman, is that DC's Catwoman?
That's more like DC's Catwoman. Like, if you really look at Catwoman, like I said, she's an old character, but when they brought Catwoman more into the 90s, more modern or whatever, she looked like Halle Berry. Shading and everything. She's not no pale white. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're pretty good playing basketball. I understand that reference.
So, one of the worst DC ever. So, for, I forget her name, to play Selena Kyle in that movie, it just kind of fits. Yeah. It just,
I mean, it fits. Yeah.
Like, I don't think anyone would have, that wasn't even whispered about. I didn't hear nothing about that at all for her taking that role, because it just, when you're a comic book person, you always look at Selena as, like, exotic. Like, what are you doing?
What if they? Wait a minute. Before we close, what if James Gunn or they make another Catwoman and she's like a representation of society today? What if she's a Lizzo? Except she's a flexible Lizzo. I mean, Lizzo seems to be flexible.
Bro,
like, hey, no, man. No, we're just doing representative of today's society.
No, I would 100% be like,
she can be an exotic Lizzo.
I don't think Lizzo gonna be able to get them stunt roles down.
Lizzo ain't gonna be big for long. Listen, man, I tell you what, you pay attention to anybody in Hollywood who came to Hollywood big, they will lose weight, because they know that, you know what, they got too much money. They probably got too many people whispering about them. They probably lost out on too many roles and stuff like that. All all that fat stuff that they talk about in Hollywood, that fat acceptance, it doesn't exist.
If that's where she's going, but she just seems to be about music, so I don't know. Like, so for me, that's up in the air.
So was Adele. Adele was about music. She wasn't about no acting. See what Adele look like now? Adele got her body snatched.
Yeah, but Adele's messing with them black guys.
Yeah, but before we sign off, I have one question I want to ask in the comments.
Divorced.
Hey man, she's trying to get that magic stick, as 50 Cent. My question is to you guys: is Rogue a pandered character, and is really based off of a Creole black woman? Not saying that there ain't no white Creole women, or there's no white, thick, heavy accent women. I'm not saying that, because you look at dude with the cards. I can't believe I forgot his name.
Gambit.
Yeah, Gambit. So yeah, it's understandable, but the way that she's drawn, the way that she acts. Oh, come here, honey. Close your eyes. Come here, sugar. Close your eyes and imagine what that character would look like and what skin tone you would give that person.
He giving away too much stuff, bro.
Serious.
That's another good show. Yeah, we got Ian before he give away everything. All right, look. Leave your comments down below. What do you think? Do you agree, disagree, whatever? I'm your boy Josh. I'm Nixon.
I'm Sir Cash.
And we out, bro.